How are we all doing this evening? Getting settled in. We're going to kick it off here in just a minute. Coming to you live over the warm desert airwaves, it's Midnight in the Mojave on Mojo Adventures. How we all doing this evening, folks? We're just getting our levels all tweaked out here. Mrs. Mojo, why don't you give us a mic check?
Good evening, y'all.
How's everyone doing on this fine evening? We are just cooling off out here, chilling out in the garage. Got a couple interesting stories this evening, and tonight's guest once again in studio, the fabulous Mrs. Mojo.
Yay.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
You just introduced me perfectly. Nothing more, nothing less.
Outstanding. Where do you hail from, Mrs. Mojo?
The good land of the PNW, Pacific Northwest.
There you go. The great Northwest. And she ended up in the desert like a lot of us. Like me, I'm from the Midwest, which is nowhere near the Pacific Northwest. But hey, here we are in the desert, out here in the Mojave. Getting started a little late tonight. You see, we're still figuring out how everything works here. So, hey, thank you for coming along with us. And as we get started and hopefully have some folks join us, go ahead and pop in the comments and let us know what you want us to cover or what you think about any of the stories that we're doing here. And like always, let us know if you can see us okay, if you can hear us okay. Because, hey, we are about as rookie as you can get at this. Ain't that right, Mrs. Mojo?
Absolutely.
And I can say, welcome back to Midnight in the Mojave, because this is episode 2. How about that? You know what? I didn't think we were going to be here, but hey, you can't say that it failed at one episode, right?
Yep. The first one was
Bam.
pretty funny.
That's right. So we're going to try some new things out tonight. I have a couple stories, as you can see from the title. First one, has Burning Man gone bust? We're going to follow up on last week's story. I know we covered a little bit of Burning Man and the things that had happened there, some of the bad energy going around. We're going to go a little bit deeper into that story because something happened to one of our fellow YouTubers, and they got one of their videos taken down, which is kind of like us. Sometimes it can be your livelihood, so that was sad to see. We're going to go over that. And the next one, did researchers find a time warp outside of Las Vegas? And could this be connected to Area 51? We are very close, right?
Very, very close.
Yeah, just the way Las Vegas is growing now, I guess technically it's called the Nellis Test and Training Range, and then what everyone thinks is Area 51 is just a small area near the heart of that. But the actual training range now starts near the edge of the city because Las Vegas has grown so much, it's almost butting up across the test range. So it wouldn't surprise me if some people found some weird things going on just because of the proximity the city has come to Area 51. Isn't that right?
Yeah, it's getting up there, so we'll see.
It ain't like when we first came here, that's for
Yeah,
sure, right?
for sure. It was a lot more deserted in certain areas of the town, you know.
Starting to feel like a lot more like LA here in Las Vegas.
Getting
and,
a little tight.
Yeah, and before it kind of had, funny as it sounds, it had a small town feel here in Las Vegas, especially among the people that worked in the service industry. You'd see people all over town. But now, look, we're at the intro and I'm getting off track here. So
here we go.
that was the second one. And then the third one I have tonight is Lake Mead myths, because we can't cover all this weird stuff on the main channel. Some of you may watch. So tonight we're going to discuss some odd stuff. And if anyone comes in, they can leave a comment. But since we've been covering the lake, we've heard it all, basically. Is there a monster in Lake Mead? Is there Native American hexes or curses left over? Is there caverns or holes at the bottom where the water is draining? We've heard it all. So we'll touch on some of that stuff, you know, maybe see if some of it isn't so outlandish to wrap it up tonight. And other than that, we don't have anything in the mystery hole. So that segment at the end, I called it the mystery hole. So in the future, what we're hoping for is, hey, get your mind out of the gutter there, Mrs. Mojo. Don't you remember when you were a kid, your parents would take you to the mystery hole and it was on a slant? So you'd walk inside and you'd take pictures and it looked like you were hanging off the wall.
Oh,
like a
like
mystery
a
house.
topsy-turvy house?
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what they
I
call
think
it.
that's more appropriate.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so in the mystery hole, we're just going to leave that open. So hopefully in the future, maybe we'll get some viewers in here chatting along, and then we can fill the mystery hole with things people have asked during the show. But for right now, we'll stick to those 3 things. So first off, how was everyone's week? Everyone doing all right? We've been doing good. It's been it cooled off here and it rained a bunch. So, you know, in the desert out here, we love the rain, right?
We get so excited about it. If you've been out here for a long time, you really enjoy monsoon season. It's like a good, refreshing end of summer treat.
That's right. Yep. Oh, I forgot to record too. So there we go. I better do that too.
Uh-oh.
Oops. So now we have a backup copy, but only from that point. So now we've lost that to the ether or to the YouTube. Uh-oh.
Learning.
So it's not a conspiracy theory. I forgot to hit record there. So.
Uh-oh. There you go.
Oh, look, and we're on TV too.
Oh,
so
yep, we're in the back.
if you see us looking up this direction, I'm monitoring. Oh, you can see it on the TV. Look, it'll create its own mystery hole because if the camera catches it, you know, like when you record a mirror or TV.
Yep.
Well, anyways, if you see us looking back there, it's because I'm checking if everything on screen here is jiving with what's going on with the sound in the screen. So I'm going to try and pull up some stuff this evening. So first off, let's get into this Burning Man story. Is Burning Man bust? Why do I say that? Well, in the past, Burning Man was already having issues, okay? First was the weather. I'm sure a lot of you saw that. it's a playa. In other words, it's a dry lake, but they call it a dry lake because when the rains come, it's no longer a dry lake. It's a seasonal lake and it floods. Well, anyways, I'm sure many people saw that the playa would flood and people would get stuck, and everyone was trying to get out and spinning tires, and they're creating these real deep ruts in the playa. So that was the first of the issues. Then what started coming was people in the surrounding towns complaining about how the burners were dumping all their stuff that they had bought just for the burn, you know, to live the life of camping luxury or to build a little camp. They were dumping it all around in towns like Gerlach, and also we've seen down in Goldfield, there's a yard filled with trash that doesn't ever seem to get used. It's just filled with like busted RVs and costumes and stuff. So what happens is, yeah, they take everything to the site and they leave no trace at the site, but then on the way back, everything kind of gets dumped in all these small towns. And matter of fact, in known places like Reno, Tahoe, they'll just put huge dumpsters in the parking lot because they're anticipating these people coming and having all this stuff to dump. And even with that, sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes they just trash the place. So not everyone, of course. If you're watching this, don't ever think we're trying to single out, you know, just everyone that goes to Burning Man. We know some people are living by all the codes that they originally started by 20 or 30 years ago, but now it's become so bloated, you can't account for everyone. There's always going to be people who don't care. They just go there and trash it. So then there was that issue. First, there was the weather, which kind of trashed the playa from people getting stuck. Then there's the trash, people complaining in the outside towns. And then, of course, like we covered last episode, there was a homicide there, unfortunately. And Mrs. Mojo, you remember that? Did you see that?
Yep, we saw it. It was all over the news, and then it started filtering out east, and even family members have reached out and said, and you know, do you know anybody out there? We're like, no, not really.
I think sometimes they're worried that we're going there, but no, we're not going to mess with anything like that. Back in the day, we went to EDC, which now Burning Man is basically just like a glorified EDC because they haul all the generator trucks and they set up huge stages and art with all this lights and flames. So when I see the videos, I'm like, wow, it just looks like EDC, except you don't get to go back to the strip afterwards.
Yeah, it's just not a city.
I understand that it started different ethos and everyone there was there for a certain united reason. But like I said, once the group gets too big, things like this start happening where you don't have the best stewards of the festival attending. And then now look what happened. There's a homicide at what's supposed to be a peaceful, inclusive festival. So due to this, of course, some other YouTubers, of course, people are going to make videos and document what's going on there. Remember when it flooded? There were so many YouTube videos. People that did weather stories to people that did rave culture to people that just did Nevada travel. Mm-hmm. There was so many people just covering the flood, and so you can't really get mad if you're part of the Burning Man organization that people are going to your festival and scrutinizing it because they've seen all these problems happen year after year. Well, like I was saying, we had a pair of YouTubers go there. Some of you may know them. EWU Crew, Explore With Us. They made a excellent YouTube video. It was like an hour or two long. And I'm going to show you a little bit of it here, and then I'm going to tell you why I'm showing you this video. So we're trying something new here. We're going to pull this up and see if it works. So let me know if you can see and hear this video. Okay, we're going to try and watch this together. Oh, let me stop the music first. Bear with me, folks. You're the first one, so you know you gotta bear with the growing pains. Let's go back here. Here we go. There we go. Check it out. This is their video.
Each year, the self-proclaimed radically inclusive event known as Burning Man builds a city for 70,000 visitors in the Nevada Black Rock Desert. A few months later, they tear it all down, claiming to leave the area just as they found it.
You know, of course, that our Black Rock City event in the Nevada desert is the world's largest Leave No Trace event.
Leave No Trace. Yep, that's what we were talking about.
That many Burning Man participants and supporters take at face
just
value.
like it looks.
But an in-depth investigation has found that the truth, to put it gently, is a little more complex than the slogans.
And this is what they were working on.
Over a period of
for
2 years, we set
See?
out to document the post-event fallout that the burners don't want you to see.
A lot of work into this video.
You don't need to be driving through here.
Guys are not supposed to be within.
We'll get the Rangers on you.
The filming began on the final day of the 2023 event, where thousands of participants had already burned the effigy that gives the festival.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I don't want to play too much of it here because now I'm going to explain to you why, even though I just recommended this, you can't watch it. Because what happened here was one of the representatives from Burning Man Group, which is, I know you think it might be an organic festival, but this is actually put together basically like a corporation, even though it's a nonprofit. It's basically run like a corporation. And it has to at this point because it's grown so big. They need to secure permits and resources and porta potties and power and, you know, this and that, and they need to check off on the cleanup. So all this stuff, obviously, it's not going to be able to be done by one or two people. The festival has grown so much, it's ballooned to where it basically has to be run like EDC. So anyways, the point of this is one of the people affiliated with that ended up striking this video. As you can see, this excellent video by Explore With Us, let me see if it changes up there, is no longer available due to a copyright claim by Ambon. So I'm hoping we're just a little bit behind there. So what happened here? Well, this person here, and I don't want to go too far into it because I'm not trying to single anyone out, but this is indeed the person who hit them with the copyright claim, and it was over them using TikToks from her page here, or maybe it was Instagrams. Well, anyways, they had done like a fair use thing where they were just trying to comment on her TikToks to help show what was going on there. Because if you were able to watch this video, you could see that the people working for Burning Man Group or under her supervision, I'm not sure which one allegedly, but she seemed to be in charge of everyone. They were following these EWU crew everywhere, trying to harass them and intimidate them and kick them off the playa, even though they were just, the playa's public land, they were just on public land filming essentially. So this person had struck them with a copyright claim over using her TikTok videos, even though their wonderful documentary was like an hour, 2 hours long and had all this different compiled videos that they took from themselves. She hit them with a copyright, and well, they didn't like that at all. They had copied this onto her page, and she said, oh, I know I have to go through that whole video and get minutes to report them for copyright infringement. So there you can see she's trying to take their video down. And what it ends up looking like is she wasn't mad that they actually used her TikTok. It looks like she was getting upset because they were exposing all this stuff that we just talked about in their video about Burning Man. And now that video was struck by the representative of Burning Man, which is really weird. It seems like now you've got Burning Man Corporation. They have a murder to a homicide to account for this year. And now they also are trying to get YouTube videos shut down that are reporting on things that go on there. So it's almost like this thing the lid's gonna blow off this, and you can tell people are panicking over everything that happened. But that's really sad. So here you can see, I'm gonna pop up on screen here the story of the man, just the beginning here of the man that was unfortunately found dead.
A murder mystery at Burning Man. We now know the name of the man who was found in a pool of blood at the arts festival that draws tens of thousands of people to a temporary city that rises in a remote part of Nevada every year. What we know about the victim and the search for answers in a shocking case of violence in the desert. We're on the case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
Okay, so there you have it. There's a little clip. You can go watch this full one too. Well, this is just kind of like the icing on the cake, and it's like we discussed last time. You remember we talked about how someone had ran into the effigy one of the previous years?
The 1 year, I forgot, was that 2023? I don't remember. But
I think it might have been 2022. I'm not sure, but
it was sad though.
Yeah, the year's not important. What is important is it's not really the first death to go on there, but pardon me, it is the first homicide. So that's pretty remarkable. You wouldn't hope that something like that happens at a festival that has the ethos like that. Well, anyways, here is Let me see if it's on screen. Here we go. Here's EWU crew here. So this is the folks who had the video up right here. And Mrs. Mojo probably remembers this was one of the original channels we watched back in the day.
Yeah, it was one of the original ones. It's like a family, which is really cool. It's a dad and his kids, and they go adventure out in the wilderness, and now they live in central Nevada, which is a whole different thing. But they've been working on this documentary for a couple years, it sounds like.
Yeah, it was really good. Fortunately, we got to watch it, but now, like I showed you, it's pulled down. So anyways, you could go subscribe to them, because what I wanted to show you here that's important, because this is continuing the saga that's going on to Burning Man. You can see in their community post right here, I'll read it for you if it's too small. Antibond has filed a false copyright takedown on our video, a video that is 100% protected under fair use. We knew they might resort to this to try and silence us, because they don't want you to see the footage we captured, which is kind of what I just hinted on. I think it's more about them not wanting this to get out to a mass audience. And then they go on to say, you know, if she refuses to withdraw her claim, our attorneys are prepared to sue her directly, and we are exploring legal action against Burning Man itself. So this is the first time I've heard something like this. But I'm not surprised, because unfortunately you can't see the video, but the way they were going around and harassing them and stuff, it was really weird. And there's a strange power structure where Burning Man Group pays the BLM a very large sum of money. You can go look all this up. I don't want to quote the figures wrong. For legal purposes, obviously, some people are hot on the trigger here with reporting stuff. So allegedly, they pay them a very large sum of money to get the permits and stuff. And what happens is Burning Man Group has their own rangers, not like Bureau of Land Management rangers, not park rangers, not actually rangers. They call them rangers so that they have some kind of authority over the people that attend the fest. And those were the people that were trying to harass the EWU crew here, which they had nothing to do with Burning Man. They would just be like, you were on public land, you know, looking to walk your dog or do whatever, just minding your business, and people are driving up harassing them for filming. It's a really odd situation, and the reason I'm presenting this first is because we touched on it last week, but now that I saw this unfold, I think something much bigger is happening here. And let's go back to full screen, because we're trying to get everything. It's like DJing here. So I'm going to try and put it back on. There we go. Now you can see Mrs. Mojo's lovely face there. So like I was saying, I think there's something bigger going on here. Like this video is stirring up something bigger with the homicide that happened and all the destruction that's happening on the playa. And it's a shame you can't watch it, but like you just saw, it looks like Bob and Emma and them from EWU crew are going to fight to get that video back up. And when it does, hopefully you're subscribed to them and you can check out that video, because it was very good. And it's, once again, not to single anyone out or not to be mad at like the people who go to Burning Man. But if you're going to preach and preach and preach and preach, and you're going to secure permits and funding based on that, what you're saying you're doing, and then people find out that you're not really doing that stuff, you're kind of just... It's become to the point where it's like you can just handshake it. Like, look, we just sign here, and then you sign here, and here's your payment, and we'll see you next year. So that's not good either, because that playa is supposed to be public land, and it's supposed to be left pristine like it was. And obviously when it rains and people go through it through the mud and they have to run a grader, it's obviously causing effects that they cover in the video that we probably don't even know about. So if you're going to preach, you need to practice what you preach. You can't have a festival that gets all these eyes on it and balloons out, and now everyone's looking at you, and instead of answering to what happened, because we still don't know what happened with the homicide there, instead of answering to what happened, you just go out and spend your time trying to file copyright strikes to get people's videos taken down. That's kind of weird. I don't know. What do you think, Mrs. Mojo? What kind of vibe do you get from the Burning Man stuff going on?
Well, after watching that and then seeing everybody else's side on the other side, obviously there's two stories to everything. I think honestly, it's not as perfect as they make it out to be. So it's just really upsetting, because it's a very fragile territory, and you and I really like nature, and we agree with some of the people that go up there, but some of them are just not very careless about like the environment. And it's just, there's a lot of fragile little little critters that live there, and you're harming them. Don't hurt them. That's what I think.
Are you talking about the playa shrimp?
Yeah, the little shrimpy guys that live in the playa. Like, you guys are all dancing on them and setting fires, even though they say it's not in direct contact with the ground. It actually is, because if you look at all the footage, there's so many different angles, and for sure it is burning on the ground. So you are frying those little baby shrimp that only hatch when the monsoons come through. Like, that's pretty intense. They only hatch when water comes in that area, and it's always when they're there.
I didn't want to ruin the story because I knew they were going to. I was hoping they were going to see it because EWU crew covered it very in depth. But Mrs. Mojo nailed it. That was really good. Why not just bring it up since we're on it? What she is referencing is there's some kind of like primordial playa shrimp. I guess it's even microscopic. You can't, or maybe when they grow full size, you can barely see a wiggling. Yeah. Well, anyways,
quarter size.
The fascinating thing is they say, well, it don't cause any harm because there's nothing lives on the playa. It's just dead alkali flat salt. Well, what they found is however monsoon season, 3 to 5 years or whatever, where it rains enough to fill that playa, that awakens, just like you remember, what were those little things you got as a kid?
Oh, like the sea monkeys.
There you go. They're like little sea monkeys. Once they hit the water, all of a sudden, oh look, they're swimming everywhere. This is great. We got a whole family. That's what's happened with those shrimp. So it's pretty crazy. They can stay locked in the dry playa in the scorching heat in the sun for just such a long period to when the rain hits them and rehydrates them. And then they're all, just for that little period, we looked into it more obviously after that, but just for that little period that they are alive, they do their whole life cycle. They'll wake up, they'll find a mate, they'll reproduce, they'll make babies, and then they'll be ready to perish so that their
offspring
can wait for the next flood. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So
it's a wild life cycle if you really look it up, and then you're like, oh my gosh, you guys are stepping on all of them.
It's like she says, so there are the shrimp in there, but that's not the biggest concern at this point. They need to figure out what's going on with that homicide, and they need to figure out what's at the heart of when you see the video, you'll see what's at the heart of what's going on with the BLM making a deal with the rangers of the Burning Man group, because there's a law enforcement handoff that happens there where you can tell the people, because kind of what's happening is like, hey, it's your music festival. We'll put the fence up. Whatever happens in the fence, you better police it. Make sure it doesn't come outside the fence. If it comes outside the fence, it's our responsibility then, and people are going to the clink. So, like Michael Scott, hey, spend some time in the clink. You know what I mean?
Anybody watch The Office? Watch it too much.
What do you say? I never got caught. I was good at it. I never got caught neither.
Yeah, he's like, then how did you become Prison Mike if you didn't get caught? Makes no sense.
Every gruel every day they fed us gruel. Well, now I'm getting off track again. So like there's a legal trade-off, because if they tell the Burning Man group rangers, hey, you police everything that's going on inside, and a year after year, hey, it's okay, nothing crazy happened, but then this year they have a homicide all of a sudden. Now you're going to have outside agencies looking in on the festival, and they're going to be wondering, where was the enforcement? Where was the emergency services? Why didn't no one call this in? So anyways, we won't spend too much more time on the Burning Man group. Otherwise, Angry Annie might think we're singling her out. So I don't...
Yeah, we're not trying to point fingers. But
we're not big enough for anyone to get upset with us. But who is big enough is the EWU crew. So hopefully their video comes back up, and you'll all be able to watch it.
Honestly.
Yeah, it was very in depth. Not just at Burning Man, but you'll learn a lot about the ecosystem of the Black Rock Desert and the playa up there. It's pretty cool.
Very informational.
Yep. So cross that one off. Burning Man gone bust, has it? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Has Burning Man gone bust? What do you think about that festival? You think they should just take it back to San Francisco? Little known fact for the people that didn't know this, it did start in San Francisco, and I think the reason they brought it out here is because you can do it on public land out here, and it saves you a bunch of money. I mean, imagine if you were in San Francisco and you wanted to rent out a venue for it, or someone's private piece of land or something. It would cost a fortune. But you come out to private land, you're probably saving money because you don't have to pay for the land itself other than permitting with the BLM. So, and then you just turn around and charge all the people thousands of dollars to get onto the public land. It's pretty much like the most genius cash grab, right? Okay, so next, what do we have? A Las Vegas time warp. What do you think? Because we're close to Area 51. Let me pull up this article, all right? We're going to go back to the web screen here. And we're still on EWU Crew, so don't forget to look them up. They work really hard on that. All right, let's check out this story. Let me turn around and see if it is up on screen. It should be getting there in 1 minute. Paranormal researcher may have found time warp outside Las Vegas. And this is actually a little bit of an older story, July 2nd, but it's not old to me because I had just read it recently. Like always, when I'm looking for stuff, sometimes odd stuff pops up, and I was looking up areas to off-road outside Las Vegas, and for some reason this came up. It must be close to wherever he saw it. Well, anyways, let's go into the story, folks. A paranormal researcher thinks he could be the first person ever to discover a time warp, claiming he found one on the outskirts of Las Vegas. Now, why is this important? It's not like a time warp where you think you'd walk into it and be like sucked into another dimension or something. But it is still interesting, could be the beginning of it, because look, time observed to slow down for 20 microseconds. Now, I know you're gonna first thing, yeah, like Mrs. Mojo is already giggling back here. First thing you're gonna ask is, how are you gonna do that? Me and Miss Mojo went up there and we both had our old school Casio wristwatches on, and we both were like, Mrs. Mojo, what time you got? Ready? 3, 2.
Slower.
No, okay, so no, I know that's probably what you're thinking, but no. This was, when I say a paranormal researcher, this was Joshua Warren, who starred in the Travel Channel's Paranormal Paparazzi. And he was the one who came here, and he claims that he has been measuring the rate of time all over southern Nevada, which is, of course, home to not only Las Vegas, but like we started out with, the Nevada Test and Training Range. I think I said Nellis the first time, so I apologize. It's Nevada Test and Training Range, which is what contains Area 51. So somewhere in between the city and that area, he has been measuring the rate of time, and it included the area, like I said, between the City of Lights, Las Vegas, and Area 51. Well, last week he said he found a spot in the desert just north of the city where he claims to have watched time slow down for 20 microseconds. Now, before Mrs. Mojo giggles anymore, how did he do that? Well, it's by using what is called a differential time rate meter, or DT meter. Okay, what do you think about that? You ever heard of that?
Not at all.
Okay,
No.
well, apparently
that?
there's an actual scientific instrument or a research instrument called a DT meter, and obviously what it does, it must have, I don't have a picture of it, but it must have two separate timepieces, and somehow it starts at the same time, and then you measure the endpoint. I don't know, but somehow they have a device that measures the differential of time. And he says that he was able to record a measurement that showed time had been slowing down in that particular spot on that day he was there. Oh, here we go about the meter. The DT meter, which was invented by Silicon Valley engineer Ron Heath, is connected to a 100-foot cable with a sensor that transmits signal. Warren said that this signal is supposed to travel at the same rate of time at any particular place. Okay, so now it makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, so there's I guess the 100-foot cable would be acting like a buffer. So it would give it, so like when you turn on the water in a hose, it doesn't come out the other end. You have to wait and wait. So he must be doing that and measuring where the time comes out on the other side. So according to this meter, I guess he found that the time was moving slower in that spot. And he said this change could only happen if a black hole approached Earth or a similar phenomenon occurred, which is not supposed to happen. Warren said this observation should not occur as it defies the laws of physics. And this quote from him says that shouldn't happen unless there is some kind of unknown technology being tested nearby that would influence the environment, or if there are naturally places around the planet Earth that actually sort of flicker once in a while. That warp, that time warp is what he's saying. And of course, it's not clear what's behind the phenomenon, and he's going to continue investigating. But he did speculate that this might have to do with some of the research that maybe was going on up at Area 51. And maybe, like we started out the podcast with, the city perhaps has grown just a little bit too close, and now they're receiving the ill effects of any of the testing or fallout. Because if you think about it, the nuclear testing happened just up in Mercury, Nevada. That's not far from the city.
Not that far, to be honest.
No,
it's
so
really close.
It's gotten so close now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really not that far. Maybe like, I want to say like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, right? Or maybe 3. I don't know, because Goldfield's
Up to Mercury, it's about an hour. Yeah, so here's Mercury, if you can see on the screen. And Mercury is where you start. If you go on the atomic tour, this is where you start, and then you go up here into the atomic testing area. So you can see where Las Vegas is here, and it's right up the highway. So this area of town has grown so much, and the researcher was saying basically that he had found the time warp about 20 minutes north of Las Vegas. So if you go 20 minutes north of Las Vegas now, you're not even out of the city, right?
No.
Isn't that wild? So he was probably just up here, up by Tule Springs or Indian Springs, somewhere up here, because you can't get any farther after a certain point. And the test and training range is this entire area that's outside of the Desert National Wildlife Refuge. And what's interesting is the Air Force is actually trying to annex more of this area. And some of the things I have pinned on here were from the Kenny Beach M Cave hike. Some of the stuff that we talked about last episode, this is up in the Sheep Range. So where Kenny disappeared, this was right near the edge of the start of the test and training range. So this whole area, here's Rachel, where everyone thinks of the back gate of Area 51. Here's Tonopah, here's the Warm Springs Junction. There's an old Air Force hangar over here where they, I believe it was Chuck Yeager trained up here.
That thing is really cool.
Yeah, and that was back in the day, that was part of all this, the training range going on. So this entire area, with the point I'm trying to make, north of Las Vegas is part of the test and training range. So anywhere you go now north of Las Vegas, you can't go north, you have to go northwest or northeast this way, because this is all off limits. And it's hidden a lot of old mining, a lot of Native American history, and who knows, untold secrets. It holds wherever Kenny Beach went too. So what's interesting is, because it's not so much of the effect that the training range has grown, it's because the city keeps going north up here and getting in the way of what used to be very, very remote and very hard to reach areas, but it isn't anymore. So up here I had a video I was going to pull up. No, we don't want to see that. We already saw them. Okay, let's see if this comes up on the screen. Here's an older video that I did called the M-Files, Las Vegas Aliens. I don't know if any of you remember this story, but apparently a craft or something landed in a family's backyard in Las Vegas here. This was a few years back, and they claimed to have video of the creatures walking around the backyard and everything. And well, what had happened is they started getting harassed, and they said there were cameras put up upside their house and all this stuff, and it ended up they kind of disappeared and said we're never talking about it again. So anyways, this was interesting to me because this is still part of, like, we're so close to that area. People never really know what's going on. I mean, for all we know, this maybe could have been some space debris like a comet or something, but just because by virtue of what goes on up there at the test and training range, everyone's kind of wild. So we'll just watch a little bit of the intro of this.
This is actually, we're terrified of it.
So there's 2 people or 2 subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us.
That was the actual 911 call. Wouldn't that be freaky if you were a 911 operator hearing that?
Hey, did you guys...
And then it goes into the body cam footage. They start asking if people saw anything fall.
Did you guys see anything fall out of the sky? We got a call, and one of my partners actually said that they saw it too.
The extraterrestrial. There was on the body cam. There's my narration. So you can watch this video. It's on the main channel. But what I wanted to show you here is really interesting. Right here, this part. It's going to show you how big the test and training range takes up of the state here. So here, we'll zoom in from a Google Maps view. Check this out.
fueled for decades by the well-known Area 51 military base just north of Las Vegas. The larger area containing Area 51, known as the Nevada Test.
Here you go, right here. So there's the outline of Nevada. You can see it. And already in just that little, in the southeast corner, that yellowish square, that's all part of the range there.
Training range covers a staggering amount of the lower half of Nevada and has been off limits to the public for decades.
Okay, so now here, this is why I wanted to show you this picture right here. At the bottom, if you can see, I wonder if you can see the pointer. Oh yeah, I think you can. Well, if you can't, at the bottom right of the picture, you can see the label that says Las Vegas. So this is what I was just pointing out. Look where Las Vegas, that's the north loop of the 215, and there is plenty of housing off the top of there. Oh yeah, we can get the pointer, good. So there's plenty of housing up here. So it's basically butting up against the training range, and look at all this area. That's wild, huh? All the way up past Beatty, up to Tonopah, Warm Springs Junction, back down through Rachel, Ash Springs, Crystal Springs, all the way back down. So you really can't build much more. And on our main channel, you'll see us talk about the governor wants to release public land because they have nowhere else to build. Well, this is also part of the problem because the Air Force and military has annexed so much of this land. We really can't build north much anymore. You have to build west. So a lot of this phenomenon, it's hard to tell, and I'm going to show you the body cam footage, what I'm talking about, because what made this specific case very interesting was it was caught on Ring camera by citizens or civilians. Like, that happens a lot, and then you have to wonder, hey, is this AI? What's going on here? It was also caught on Metro Police body cam. Do you remember this event?
Yeah, I remember this one. I forgot all about it, actually, until you said it.
Yeah, the family, I was hoping maybe we could link up with them and get an interview with them, but the local news and the mainstream media had pestered them so much, and I can only imagine what they must have told them when they were
creeped out.
Yeah, so who knows what happens at this point, but they ran them off, and I don't really that family had it looked like he owned a very well-off business. Like, he had a bunch of construction equipment. There's nothing that indicated, to me at least, that they were trying to fabricate the story for clicks or for money. And in fact, the younger son, Angel, that was doing some of the interviews, he even said that he didn't want to do any YouTube or anything, but he ended up making his own, like 2 or 3 videos, just because everyone was twisting what he was saying, and they were trying to make comments that, oh, this means that, and because he says this, it meant that. So he made a couple videos and then he disappeared. But the point was, I wanted to show you, this is the body cam from that night, and you're going to see right here, what I'm trying to point out is you'll see where it syncs up. Someone caught it on a Ring camera, and someone else caught it, a Metro officer caught it on body camera, and people were able to sync these 2 videos up to say, yes, indeed, something came out of the sky, and no one knows where it went or what happened to it. And it just happened to happen right after this 911, or right before the 911 call came in. So coincidence? I don't know. Let's check out this video.
Eyes, and they were 100% not human.
They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
Ever wondered what your home looks like from?
Oh, how about that? I'm going to get the pleasure of playing live on air an ad from my own YouTube video, which is what this is. So there we go. There's some double dip in here. Let's go back.
Things get even more interesting when you look through the footage of the incident, which started on May 1st, 2023. Before the 911 call is ever placed,
watch this.
A resident in a different part of the valley captures a fiery object falling from the sky on their home security cam. Nearby, a Metro officer's body cam records what appears to be the same strange object streaking across the sky.
Watch now. Sync them up.
Soon after these events, the 911 call begins.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually we're terrified of it.
Body cam footage also shows the responding.
Okay, I'm gonna cut this video down. You can go watch the full thing if you want. It's not that much longer, actually, only about 8 minutes there. So I cover this and also touch on a little bit of, there were some petroglyphs that we visited up north. Let me go back to, we'll pop you back out to the camera. Sit tight. Screen live. There were some petroglyphs we visited up a bit north of here, kind of central Nevada, and there's one that looks like a spaceman. It's kind of very odd. You can see it in that video, but that's the only area in I believe it's the entire world, or at least North America. I don't think they found it anywhere else, but that spaceman, it's only in this one location. It just happens to be right outside Area 51, which I show in that video. So it's kind of odd. Do you think all this is tied together? And then we have a time warp up north of the city. I figure maybe at some point the governor gets on the phone and he calls the, the colonel or the general. All right, sir, you got to kind of chill out because this gentleman just found the time warp. So, you're going to have to take that a little farther north towards Tonopah. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Bring it up north. Nobody goes up there as much.
Yeah, so we're like the crazy. It's crazy. We have so much military here in Hawthorne, and then Yucca. What is that? Yucca Mountain, where they store the nuclear waste. Yeah, it's all here in Nevada, but that's part of some of the same reason that Burning Man is here. Like, we started this out because we have so much public land, and for anyone that doesn't understand public land, basically us taxpayers, we're paying the Bureau of Land Management to maintain that and keep it in good order so that you and your family and everyone can recreate on it responsibly, which means camping for, up to 14 days, off-roading on designated trails, wilderness hiking, fishing, hunting, things of this nature, rock hounding, things that you would enjoy out in the wilderness. That's what it's for. It's not necessarily so you can set up a huge rave and then make a bunch of money off of it, even though you say you're a nonprofit. And for that reason, because there's so much public land, it was kind of just up for grabs because it's just looked at as inhospitable. And I think that was cited as one of the reasons they chose that area, especially up near Tonopah. It's just so remote that back then when they were setting up these bases, it was hard just for you to get there, even if you wanted to get there. Your vehicle had to be in great repair, because if you break down in that part of the desert, there's a good chance that you're not going to survive. And before that, they only had the railroads, which basically followed US 95 northwest up the state through Goldfield and Tonopah. That was the old railroad grade. So if you didn't veer far off of that, if you went too far off of that railroad grade, you were on your absolute own. You're going through prickly pears and Joshua trees and rattlesnakes and volcanic rock, and hoping that you get past it to wherever you're going, which who knows where. So that's part of the reason they built all this stuff out in this area, because they viewed it as, well, no one's ever going to want this land. It's barren, it's inhospitable, there's no water, it's hot all summer and unbearable. We can't do any kind of digging into the caliche because it's so hard, so no one has basements. So everything like this was just more difficult, and they figured no one's ever going to come out here. But boy, how that changed, huh?
Oh, definitely. It's changed a lot, and it's actually growing up there, which is really interesting. So
Indian Springs, we go by all the time, and Indian Springs is basically like its own Air Force base.
Is it
now.
Creech? Is that Indian Springs is where Creech is?
Yeah, Creech is up that way too. So that's like sprouting up at Indian Springs off the old rail bed too, is sprouting its own community, and there's a big boy up there now. And so the not only is the city growing one way, the military is annexing all other ways. So it will be sad. Another interesting thing I can tie in here is that, like I mentioned, that area where the Desert National Wildlife Refuge is, it actually is where the Kenny Beach M Cave is. So the supposed M Cave that Kimmy, I'm sorry, Kenny, I didn't mean to, yeah, forgive me. Kenny Beach, the cave that he supposedly found, was up there in the Desert National Wildlife Refuge. And if the Air Force would get their way one of these times, they've been trying to annex it, but it hasn't passed through yet. But if they do get their way, interestingly enough, that area where the M Cave supposedly would now be part of the test and training range, and no one could ever go up there again. So I don't know. Is that another conspiracy? What do you think? Or do you think they just want more land to set up more bases and everything too?
I think they just want more land.
You're not with the conspiracy thing?
No. at the same time, I'm like, there's been weird stuff in the sky, but they're always testing weird things. So, I mean, especially being so close to Nellis, we see stuff that's randomly in the sky, and you could, think it's something, but who knows? You never know.
What is interesting is that even if you're like her, she's a realist. She'll bring me back down to earth. But
sorry.
what is? Oh no, don't be sorry. That's good. We gotta have the level-headed person because I'm over here in the clouds blabbing away. What is interesting is that, like I pointed out, the M Cave, which would, I mean, not that they want to annex that area just because the M Cave was supposedly there, even though people keep going up there now because Kenny brought so much attention. But the interesting part is the whole thing about the M Cave was Kenny said there was weird energy coming out of the cave. Like, when you walk into some strange energy and you can feel it and your hair stand up, you get the pricklies and everything. And some tells you no, that's danger, Will Robinson. So supposedly that is what he felt at the M Cave, which is interesting because this person found the time warp outside of Las Vegas too, which would kind of be like, you would think if something was going on, the scientist said it takes a black hole near. You would think if you were near a black hole, your hair would stand up. You'd be like, oh wow, hey, something don't feel right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like walking near a wood chipper or something. I don't know. You'd be like, okay, well, I know this is probably not safe to go near because it's just emitting a hum and a noise and not good for a human body. So who knows? Was the Kenny Beach M Cave related to the weird energy that's causing a time warp? Or is the Air Force just trying to annex the land because they're out of places to make landing strips and training areas? I don't know. But let us know what you think in the comments, okay? Because it's hard to tell, and I'd like to go up there, but I think people have covered the Area 51 stuff well enough, and it's kind of like it's not even taboo anymore. It's so mainstream.
People talk about it so much.
Yeah, and you can go up to Rachel and buy the little stuff. You can go to the little alien and buy stuffed aliens, and you can go to, which I recommend. You can go to what is the jerky? Now I forgot their name.
Alien jerky.
No, it's not Little Alien.
What was it called?
Area 51.
Maybe it was Area 51 jerky.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry to you folks at the Area 51 jerky place.
Yeah, that one's in what's that
Alien
city?
Jerky.
Alien jerky, yeah. It's
That's
just
it.
alien
There you
jerky.
go. So if you're going up towards Rachel to see the back gate of Area 51, or maybe you want to go up towards where excuse me, I drank too much water. EWU crew. If you want to go up where they are, they were trying to set up an RV park outside of Rachel, but it's not ready. So hopefully maybe they'll see this and tell us, hey, we're getting it ready. You can come bring your trailer up there and be our guinea pigs. But if you want to go up that way, there's not many options. And the Little Alien is one of them. And make sure you stop at Alien Jerky because the jerky is awesome. And there's really not much to eat. And what's funny is we've gone camping farther north up in Pioche and Caliente, and we've forgotten, or once you get too far, sometimes there's nowhere to get food.
There's not really any grocery stores or any of that stuff.
So there was one trip we stopped at Alien Jerky and got the 3-pack. And then the whole trip, we're like, oh, thank God we got this jerky because we're just lunch, breakfast, lunch, dinner, just jerky.
Oh my
That's
gosh,
all we had,
I was
jerky
swollen.
and granola.
Let's just be honest, all that sodium.
We survived, yeah. So make sure you stop there too.
Cankles galore.
That's not a paid promotion. I'm just, but hey, Alien Jerky, if you want to send us some, I'll show it on the screen. I don't have any left, and we don't have time to drive up there. So Alien Jerky.
Maybe on our next adventure.
Yeah. So that is going to take us into our third and final segment, which is not going to be the mystery hole tonight, but it's going to segue very nicely from the last one. Lake Mead, Myths and Monsters.
Oh no.
It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Spooky.
We're going to see if anything is up at Lake Mead. So on the stream today, I was talking about if anyone wants to discuss any of the other theories around Lake Mead, come onto this stream and leave it in the comments and let us know, because there is, like I said at the beginning, we've probably heard just about everything when it comes to what's going on in Lake Mead, from monsters like a Loch Ness monster being under there to there being holes and stuff in there, and Native Americans that may have put vortexes or hexes in the area because of what was done. The area was flooded and it destroyed a lot of their indigenous land around the Colorado River. So we've explored all these theories, and I'm not going to go out and say that I've found any conclusive evidence that anything strange is going on just yet, but I will say I am not superstitious, but I am a little bit stitious. Oh, I don't need the stool. Oh, I got Mrs. Mojo.
I was already giggling. Name that show. We already named it earlier in the stream.
Bonus points there. Well, I am a little stitious, so why is there so many deaths at Lake Mead? I don't know. At a certain point, you can say, yeah, it's right next to Las Vegas. People rent a lot of boats. There's a whole lot of drinking, sometimes drugs. People get out of hand. People want to swim, and they don't really know how to swim. People go in the water, and it drops off quicker than they think, and all of a sudden they're underwater. There just seems to be so much fatalities within the park borders. Sometimes you got to wonder, does it really make sense or is something going on?
I don't know. That's a big body of water. So, I mean, you lived basically on the Great Lakes. That's a big body of water. It's totally different than the reservoir down here. But
yeah, you know what? I never thought to look if there were a lot of fatalities or accidents around the Great Lakes, but I don't think you can compare it because it's so much bigger.
It's so much bigger.
But also, I don't think you can compare it because of the commercial activity, because there are a lot. I know there's a ton of coal and freight liners that use the Great Lakes, so we don't have any of that at Lake Mead. So
no.
I think if they do have an accident at the Great Lakes, it probably has a chance of being a lot more catastrophic.
Probably, yeah. But it is weird that a lot of people get stuck. I think it's mostly current based. I just think that canyon has just such rugged terrain. If you look around, just like the actual rim of the lake.
So you don't think there's anything weird or supernatural going on? You think you can just chalk it up to the people being irresponsible?
Yes. And I think it's also Mother Nature. Like, that wasn't really meant to be a reservoir. So, I mean, it was a man-made thing. I mean, you're playing with Mother Nature and a lot of water. So, I don't know.
You know what I think about is, you want some water there, Miss Mojo?
Stay hydrated. We're in a desert.
What's your whistle? What I think about is because we can see how the canyon looks on the top, that's above water, and it's so jagged, and some of the parts of the lake are very chalky, and they just crumble away. So you got to imagine near the bottom, all the pressure from the volume of water, it's got to force its way through all this stuff, and eventually, if it does enough, it's going to find its way out to whether that's a subterranean waterway or back down to the water table. What's interesting is that is actually a problem up north at Lake Powell, because the Glen Canyon Dam is built into soft, porous Navajo sandstone. It's not like down here at Lake Mead we have. I don't want to get it wrong in case we got any geologists like Ellie watching from Ellie Knows Rocks, but I think it's. I don't know if it's.
That's when we need to phone a geologist. Is that like a thing we can add to the podcast table? Phone a geologist.
Yeah, phone a geologist. Where the Black Canyon down here. The moral of the story is the Black Canyon is made out of much denser, whether it's gneiss or schist or whatever it is. It's a lot more dense, so it holds in the water much better. Kind of like if you put water in a glass versus putting it in a colander. Obviously, the glass is going to hold it better. Up at Lake Powell, that sandstone is very porous. So when they filled Lake Powell, it's actually, as they fill it, it's actually not only leaking out, but it's actually seeping into the rock. Like that sandstone can be like a sponge, where it's actually soaking up the water, which is weird. So that is a real problem, whether we're talking about conspiracy theories or not. So it makes you wonder, of course, it has to happen to some degree at the bottom of Lake Mead. I would think not so much the soaking in, but the pressure of the water creating new fissures and cracks.
Especially with that terrain. If you can ever find, we should have had photos of what it looked like before. I think we have some where it looks before Lake Mead was filled.
Go to the on air here.
But it looks wild, to be honest. It's just very startling to see the canyon, before it filled. It was just very rugged terrain and very rocky. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I just have a feeling the current is an issue there, especially with the train beneath the water.
You can see in this photo here the different layers. This was underwater in the photo on the left there. So you could see all those steps were carved out from the water filling and emptying. So that was just the lapping of the waves there. Here's another picture of Lake Mead coming up, and straight across the water there, you'll see Fortification Hill that's straight in the center, that kind of flat top that looks like a little domed mound. That over there is so craggy and rocky and hilly. If you keep filling the lake up, it's just going to fill up in that area, and everything underwater looks like that too. So you got to imagine the what's underneath there is probably just as fishery and cracked and rocky. And if something, let's say an event happened, like, because every now and then big boulders fall down, off the cliff from just natural weather, and they'll fall down into the lake. You got to imagine underneath the lake that's happening too, and you can't see it. So could you imagine if some of these drownings, like someone was just out having a good time, like near the shore, and one of those events happened somewhere near them, and it was such a large fissure, it just like sucked them under, and then people turn around and they're like, where did they go?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it could happen anywhere, and you have no idea the force of that rush. I mean,
yeah, because that has happened. Like on more than one stories that's happened at Lake Mead, where the actual people that were involved said, the person said, I'm going to jump in, and the other people turned around and they're like, okay, no problem. And 5 or 10 seconds later, they turn around again and the person's gone, or they hear them flailing and they think they're kidding. And then before they know it, they sink under the water and they're gone. So it just seems kind of weird, but I don't know. I'd like to, in the future, hopefully get some people that can tell any of these stories, but it's hard to find people. And also, I'm not talking about the people that drowned. Obviously, that would be rest in peace to them. It would be hard to find them. A lot of good people were lost. Not just, like I said, it's not just people being irresponsible and getting drunk. There's been some perfectly sober family members, like a mother out just having a good day with her family, and she's just not that great at swimming, and she went a little too far out and drowned. There's stories like that too, so it's not all
like little tiny accidents or just freak events that happen.
But it seems like it's at a rate to where if you do something small, it's going to turn into a big event at the lake. And there's a lot of boating accidents too. Let me get us back up on screen. So that accounts for a lot of it is things you'd think is like accidents, DUIs, and a lot of it on the actual Lakeshore Drive, people at night, because it does get windy. And people,
those roads,
people also rent exotic cars and fly. They'll think it's like their test speedway, so they'll fly through there. And a lot of bad things happen on the roads in there because people get complacent. So it's not only that, it's also a lot of weird events like that. And I have touched on before, not here, but in other chat forums and comments, that we have seen weird stuff. At least I have. Mrs. Mojo hasn't been back to it, but she's been in the area. But there are weird, like, seance circles in parts of Lake Mead, which it looks like people are making portals or doing rituals.
No.
And then there's other, we don't really play, like, we don't try and get into that or investigate it. If I see that, I back away from it. I'm not moving anything. There's also areas where there have been animal parts found and things of that nature, like they were being used for spells or hexes. So Las Vegas is a diverse city. We have a lot of different practicing religions, a lot of,
beliefs.
There's a lot going on, and you shouldn't really be doing stuff like that inside the national park, because like we're not even supposed to litter in there, so you really shouldn't be cutting up animals and doing seance circles. So, and you certainly shouldn't be doing it where other people that enjoy the park can find it. But just kind of like the Burning Man thing, people think when you go off into the desert, no one's out here, it's a wasteland, this is where I could do whatever I want and no one will ever know. So yep. So that is all part of Lake Mead too. And as part of that, we are going to go back to the web screen so I can show you just a couple more videos in relation to this. We're going to go off of the Lake Mead aliens. And in relation to what we were just talking about, I'll wait for this to come up on the screen. We're a little bit delayed up here. But what you're going to see here is lady submitted a video where this is Lake Mead that you're going to see. And she's found bubbles coming up. And before we play it here, there, it's coming up now. Before we play it, you can see not all of Lake Mead is like this. At the bottom, you can see this nice sandy bottom down here. Not all of Lake Mead is like this. Some of it is really rocky, like we discussed back here. So what you're going to see, this might explain some of it, but just watch and then we'll comment on this. Check this out. Oh, there's no volume, so okay. Okay, so if you're just listening, what it's going to show is it's going to start to show streams of bubbles coming up from the bottom of the lake right here. See that? That's a pretty good flow too. Let me full screen. Look at, let me pause
it. It's like a little hole like in a tub.
Yeah, check that out. I mean, that's a good flow, right?
That's what I'm telling you.
It's too bad she didn't get some sound with this. I'd like to hear if how much of a stream it. Look at that, though. That's a good flow out of there. She got a good video of it. Oh, there we go. It's zoomed in. Check that out.
That's scary. Like, that makes me nervous to be walking by it. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, this is what we were just discussing. So yeah, it just looks like a little, a little squirt hole. But who really knows?
How big is that passageway? You know?
See?
Like, is it just covered with some dust and there's like a weak point and down you go?
Yeah, now you're thinking like, yeah, I am. So that's what I mean. Where is the source of this? What is there a cavern underneath there that's holding 300,000 gallons of water and it's about to collapse? Like, so I'm sure she probably saw this. She's like, oh, cool, little spring. And when I looked at the comments, the people who were actually scientific, that's exactly how they explained it. Obviously, we have a bunch of hot springs, if you don't know this, around Lake Mead, all down the Colorado River. It's just part of the Southwest here in the desert. We do have superheated water, and eventually it makes its way up, through the weakest point, and it'll do stuff like this where it bubbles, or eventually, Mrs. Mojo knows too, down the Colorado River, if it bubbles up in the right place, it'll create a nice hot spring right off the river so you can soak and then go into the river, the cool Colorado River. So this could obviously just be a little natural, heated water coming up, which is what I would assume it is. But does it not make you wonder, like we'll play this a little bit more, does it not make you wonder how big is the source of where this water is coming from? And just like last episode, we talked about the Devil's Hole in Death Valley, how when there's earthquakes on the other side of the world, they register the water in the water there. And so they are theorizing that it's part of an ancient subterranean waterway. So who's to say that this little bubble at Lake Mead here, who knows, who's to say that's not part of the same waterway too? And you're just walking or, floating your boat right on top of it. So this kind of, I don't know about you, but we don't boat, so this kind of stuff is kind of terrifying to me. Right?
Yeah, you got to be cautious when you're out there. I mean, the terrain, it's man-made. You got to think about it. They did what they could with what they had in the days that they built this thing, which was way back. So, good to them, but no.
You basically survey the canyon the best you can.
Yep, and hope to God you don't go down the rabbit hole.
Well, no, I mean, you can't, because there's no way they could survey the entire area of Lake Mead.
Massive.
So you just survey the parts of the canyon you can, and when you flood it, I guess you just hope for the best. And I mean, think about this, folks. Imagine 100 years ago when they were doing all this stuff, right? And they're saying, oh, we're going to flood an entire canyon of this size, and this is going to be the biggest reservoir ever in the history of the country. Think about the time when it's actually starting to fill, the engineers. Do you think they're sitting there like, okay, just like hoping something doesn't break or something doesn't chunk off and all of a sudden start a new waterway that goes somewhere crazy? Like, it's kind of scary to think about, but that's how the Salton Sea was formed. A farmer accidentally dug out the natural course of the Colorado a little bit too much because he wanted irrigation for his crops. He dug out the riverbed a little too much. The floodwater came down, broke the bank, and all of a sudden, because of that one breach, it redirected the entire Colorado River into the Salton Sea, into that basin, and made the Salton Sea. And it took them years to repair that natural berm and send the river back on its course. So think if something like that can happen, one farmer down in California messing around with this irrigation, if he can cause the entire river to change course, imagine if you're an engineer planning all this stuff and you have to fill a reservoir the size of Lake Mead. You can't account for all the variables.
No, it's insane. There's no way it would take almost years to even like map out the whole terrain of the shoreline. If anything, if you can do that.
The good news is though that the Hoover Dam has held up this whole time.
I know, thank goodness.
I know a lot of people when they see Las Vegas, they'll always say, "Oh, look out! If the Hoover Dam breaks, it's going to be devastation and destruction." But what people don't realize is the Hoover Dam is downstream of Las Vegas, so if the Hoover Dam was something were to happen, it would affect everyone downstream, basically Bullhead City, Laughlin, all the way down.
Lake Havasu.
Yep. So the only thing that would happen here is we'd lose our water supply. So it would not affect the city because the water draining is going southeast, and I could show it on the map, but I think you get the idea. It's probably not necessary. So that's just a little part of what's scary, because when you're boating on Lake Mead, you can drive right up to the dam there, and it is massive. You will feel minuscule if you go up there. Mm-hmm. But other than that, like when you see it, it's kind of like worrisome, like, well, something could happen right now where I'm staring at it. But to me, that's not even the most worrisome part. It's what we just discussed, all those little cracks and fissures and these bubbles coming up from weird spots. So I don't know. You got to be careful. And I'm sure some people have seen that I was out there swimming with Skyward, but that area where the boat was very shallow. The boat was sticking up, and it was maybe 8 to 10 feet. But that's not to say you can't get in trouble, because that poor lady we were just discussing, she was even shallower water. She was at Boulder Beach, which is an actual designated swim area. Yeah, at the swim beach. So that was really sad. And we actually have a blotter of Lake Mead deaths. They've been keeping since I think it was the 80s or 90s. But you can read an entire list of stories, and I was thinking about maybe sharing some of those, because there's some odd ones when you read them, and you're just kind of like, what is going on here? But I don't really know any other park or national park managed area that's like this. Maybe they're just more disappearances, but Lake Mead just has a lot of fatalities, and we don't need to get into everything else on this episode, because there's plenty to talk about with national parks and missing 411 and the Grand Canyon stuff, and supposedly finding the traces of Egyptian artifacts inside the Grand Canyon, the Kincaid.
Yeah, that's expedition. A crazy story.
Yeah, that's wild. Maybe we'll have to cover that Kincaid stuff and the Grand Canyon stuff in a future episode. So
yeah, if you guys are interested, we're pretty close to it. I mean,
you can't go down there, though. So.
Yeah, we really want to go to the west part of the Grand Canyon, or like the entry point of the Colorado River going into the Grand Canyon. We want to go see that.
Yeah, is that another conspiracy why you can't get down into the Grand Canyon really to explore, only in certain spots. And if you raft down, you have to stay with the guides, and you kind of there's a lot of rules to where if you just wanted to head off and start doing some backcountry hiking, you might find yourself in a odd situation. We'll just put it like that. So we'll leave it there. Maybe, what do you think? Maybe we'll talk about that one next episode.
Maybe. We're getting really close to spooky season, so we have a lot of topics to get going.
See, I almost forgot. She's right. It is getting close to spooky season, so on the main channel, we're going to have to put up, something odd, something spooky, something haunted, a lot going on. Maybe, what about the Goldfield Hotel? We have a lot of haunted hotel.
Yeah, I mean, the spooky, spectacular birthday celebration is coming up.
Yeah, or
October 18th, Goldfield, Nevada. Come tour some amazing haunted places.
We also have a haunted mill that was from back in Pioche that we might be able to show if anyone's interested in that, or the hotels, or I don't know, maybe we'll do something.
There's a lot of cool places in Nevada that have a lot of haunted or paranormal activity.
Forgot about that. So that'll be on the main channel, which is at mojo.adventures. And this is the secondary channel. You're listening to Midnight in the Mojave podcast. That is on at mojo-adventures. That happens to be our second channel here, where we're going to put everything fun and odd that doesn't belong on the first channel, because YouTube gets really confused when we cover anything but the lake. So, hey, we appreciate you wherever you are supporting us from, whether that's on this channel or the other channel, or through the Etsy, through the merch, through the t-shirts. We got all that good stuff, however you want to support us. We've got some Amazon affiliate links too for some good stuff that we use out on the trail. Isn't that right?
Yep.
Camping stuff,
couple things.
off-road stuff.
Yep. Jeepies.
Jeep stuff, and
it is my Jeeper Creepers.
It is all adventure approved by Mojo Adventures. So we wouldn't send you astray. And if anything breaks on us here, we take it off the list so you don't have the same fortune of using something like that.
Don't waste your time.
So we appreciate you, however you support us. Thank you, everyone. Mrs. Mojo, do you have anything to say?
No, I don't.
Nothing at all?
Have a good evening. Nighty-night.
There you have it, folks.
Don't let the bedbugs bite.
Midnight in the Mojave, episode 2. Wrapping it up. Let us know in the comments what you want to see next time. And we'll see you next time here at Mojo Adventures.
Mojo Garage.